Monk is our next presenter, and I'll organise this in a second when I finish chatting. She's passionate about creating cultures of connectedness within the workplace and within the community. She's the founder of the Workplace Survival Institute and the Confidence Suite. The Workplace Survival Institute teaches organisations how to create a culture of connectedness. Every organisation's primary focus should be on retaining their best asset, which is human capital. The Workplace Survival Institute focuses on helping organisations improve their diversity and inclusion programs through leadership development for minorities, anti-bullying awareness training programs. Her core belief is in a healthy and safe work environment, and that creates productive, engaged and happy employees. Please make Christy welcome.
Hi, good morning everyone and welcome. I am so excited to be here, and as Charlene said, I'm Dr. Christy Monk, the CEO of the Workplace Survival Institute. So what I would like to really talk about today is my dissertation and the research that I was able to complete in order to look for a clearer definition for workplace bullying. So, the title of my dissertation was Workplace Bullying in Search of a Clear Definition. And the reason why I sought out to look for a clear definition, because I had been bullied twice and didn't realize that that was happening. So the purpose of today is to discuss two reasons why workplace bullying is not being addressed, to review the results of my study, and learn three definitions that can be written immediately in policy based on the research that I conducted, and to learn how to show that you care. So, who is Dr. Christy Monk? I was once a professional woman who learned to be a performer. And through me being a performer, I actually lost my way. I had risen to the top of my game as it relates to the positions that I held. And it was one moment that a manager came to me and said, if I had the ability to hire you, I wouldn't. They don't fire the team, they fire the coach. So I just chalked that up to him just saying what he felt, because I didn't have any performance issues. And the next thing I know, I was being called in to be released from my job. So it came from absolutely nowhere. And he was making those comments over and over and over again, but because I had learned to perform, I just kept trying to prove him wrong. Oh, I can show him that I am not who he says I am. So I ended up getting released from the job. He said that I wasn't the person for the job, and I didn't fight against it. I was like, okay. But in Texas, where I'm from in the U.S., it's an at-will state. So when you work in an at-will state, they can just let you go at any point in time. So he wanted to put me on a performance improvement plan. And I said no to that. And he asked HR, well, what is our other recourse? And it was like, we can let her go. We can let her go with the severance. So I took the severance. Then fast forward 2 years, it happened again. And this time, it was because I was asking my manager to make sure that I had the resources to do my job. And his boss said, make sure she has everything that she needs in order to do her job. The next thing I know, I was let go again. So I'm thinking, like, what is it with me? And as I moved into the government sector, because those were private sector jobs, I realized I had been bullied. So there was a presentation that was done for all employees just to know how to recognize, and it was very high level. And then I decided to do my doctoral degree, and workplace bullying in search of a clearer definition actually popped up for me. So that is why I got to this point in my life. And so what really happened? I was learning to be passive. because of everything that happened on the other two jobs. In my mind, I was being prideful. I was like, I got this. And one of the things I did was leave a job every 2 years. And that wasn't good either. But what I realized in looking back, it was because I didn't want to deal with the conflict. So I made sure that I was always doing what I needed to do so people wouldn't say anything to me. But what did that do? It made me see that there's a lack of clear definition about what bullying really is. Because most organizations chalk it up to that's the way we do business. Then most human resources professionals, if an employee comes to make a complaint, oh, that's just who they are. But that's not really the way that you do business. So what is the problem? Core value systems plus the employee handbook doesn't include any definition. It basically tells you how you would treat someone else. But there are no consequences to those actions. And what we also know, bullying is not associated with discrimination against a person for race, gender, sex, harassment. None of it's included. So that's one of the reasons why so many organizations are able to get away with it. And we already know the people who bully most are the people with position of power. And so we just heard about that in our last segment. So what I believe the true problem is, we are not able to clearly define and identify and understand the term. So we know it says that it has to be over a period of time in order to be considered bullying. Which means that if I can say today I'm being bullied, but it's only one time, my manager may say, or whomever, that's not being bullied. And why is it easier for us to recognize bullying in school-age children, but not in adults? So that's not a part of what my research was, but it was an interesting question as I thought about why is it so difficult. So my research, it sought out to prove, could consensus be achieved on determining if clear definitions could be included in workplace policies to identify the term of workplace bullying. So who helped me? So I reached out to 20 human resource managers and directors through LinkedIn, through my social network. So many of the people who participated in my research I didn't know. And most of them fell out of the educational sector and government. And so I also sent out my third round, so there were 3 rounds, and I used a Likert scale from disagree, strongly disagree to highly agree. And what I worked on at a high level is reaching out to those 20 human resources managers and directors to find out how bullying was defined within their organizations. And the reason why I chose HR is because they're the core of the organization. They're the ones who implement policy. They're the ones who should know the law. And they're mainly the ones at a loss for how to really enforce it. So based on my research at a high level, 9 out of my participants provided what they deemed bullying policies. Only 2 other 9 specifically addressed it and included the consequences. 11 of the 20 noted that their organization code of conduct did not specifically call out bullying. So it was more or less, again, this is how you should behave, more or less our code of ethics. And out of the 20, 8 of them provided their own personal definition, because what I wanted to know is, how does your organization first define it? And being an HR manager or director, what's your personal definition? So out of that, the common themes were repeated behavior, mistreatment, health harming mistreatment, fear of intimidation, abusive behavior, exclusion, and demeaning actions. So if we know that's what it looks like from their own personal definitions, why aren't they doing anything to write more effective policies? So when I talk about my first round was just to gather the information, just to see what they had and what they believed to be true as it relates to workplace bullying and their definition. So I took all of that information and categorized them in themes. and came up with 10 more definitions based on the similarities in their responses. And then the second round, I sent the 10 definitions that I came up with based on their feedback and had them vote on it, and took the top 5. And that sent that to the third round, which is a 175 group of frontline managers who were non-HR related and frontline employees. And the interesting thing was they were able to vote on the top 5, and 3 of them pretty much were neck and neck. And what statistics show is that 62% of bullies are men. And I chalk that up to being mainly because most men head up organizations. And it's not to say that women aren't bullied, but based on the statistics by the Workplace Bullying Institute, women are considered about 32% in that category. So, what were my results? As I stated, 62% of bullies are men. Of the population for my research, 90.8% women responded. So my male population was very low. 30% were non-HR managers and 38% were frontline employees. So these are people who do it every day and they experience it. So what do we need to do? We need to have a new mindset with new results. And what that means is we need to look at how we're defining it, how we're calling it out, and who we're holding accountable to making sure that those policies are written and enforced. So what I want to do now is just to share with you the 3 definitions